Pikachu, I'm so excited! Today we're going to go out and we're going to find ourselves a powerful and rare Pokemon. Eevee, Larvitar, even Team Rocket's Meow. Sir? What's that? Oh, an Oddish. I don't want an Oddish. Pika, Pika! Pika, Pika! Oh, shiny radiant Oddish! I need that Pokemon! Ah! Hola, amigos, it's Will here from Will's Custom Figures, coming at you today with a big, bad breakdown of some of the all-time OG Kanto Classic Pokemon, some of the original 151. That's right, Oddish, Gloom, and Vileplume. So please, everyone, sit back and relax while I took you through how and why I made this not just set of 3, but 4 absolutely incredible clay Pokemon, and all the details in between. So first things first, before we jump into the sculpting, the details, the comparisons, let's take a moment to appreciate how iconic and underrated this lineup really is. These little grass buddies might not breathe fire like Charizard or shock enemies like Pikachu, but they've got charm, history, and some seriously weird Pokemon facts. And I just had to have the cherry on top of the cake, as it were, with a shiny, radiant Oddish. Now starting off with Oddish, number 43 of all of the thousands of Pokemon that are around today. It is the weed Pokemon. First appearing way back in Pokemon Red and Blue in 1996. Here's a few little comparisons with some of the original starters and Pichu and a couple of the others that aren't original starters. Now, Oddish is one of those early game finds that every trainer stumbles on in the games in the grass. There's a fun fact. He actually buries himself into the ground at night, absorbing nutrients through his feet. Its Japanese name is Nanzokusa, I believe the name is, doing my research. And it literally means mysterious grass. Now, you can see here with, I love this Jolteon and Eevee, by the way. Oh, incredible. You can see as a comparison next to them, as it evolves up into Gloom. I had to make myself a shiny version, and I'll get into that later. Oddish is one of my favourite Pokemon. Now, Gloom, the 44th Pokemon in the original franchise, evolving from Oddish at level 21. This one's always been half cute, half creepy, with that permanent drawl and sleepy face. Man, there's something creepy about this, especially going into Halloween. Its Pokedex says that its nectar smells so bad it can knock you out. But get this, when diluted, it becomes the base for an expensive perfume. So I absolutely love this. And of course, Gloom later then evolves into the one, the only Vileplume. Just before I bring Vileplume in, as you can see here, I love this Pokemon diorama. Man, many years passed in my Pokemon sculpting skills before I could get to making a Pokemon and a character of that quality. Now, one of my all-time favourite second evolutions is Ivysaur, and as you can see here, they compare really well. Yeah, probably could be a little bit smaller in the Ivysaur, or could be a little bit bigger in the Gloom, but I really like how they stand next to each other. Also, Ivysaur's fantastic ferns that come off its back. They are actually posable. I did that using armature wire. I tied it around the base where I made the bulb and then put 4 prongs of the steel armature wire coming off, so I could then attach the clay leaves on there. I used a slightly different technique for Gloom. I actually just hand sculpted that on there, and that's why those leaves do not move. Now here is Gloom next to Larvitar, one of my all-time favourites. And of course, coming up to Halloween, you've got to have Pumpkaboo. Now, before I bring on the one and only Vileplume, number 45, you've got to bring in one of the OG grass Pokemon, one of the original and all-time great Pokemon, Venusaur, of course, Bulbasaur and Ivysaur as well. Man, I absolutely love that. Such creative designs and definitely some of my favourite Pokemon of all time. Now, bringing them in for a little bit of a size comparison here, I absolutely love how Vileplume stands next to Venusaur. I think it's the perfect size differentiation, in my opinion. Love this Gloom as well, and as you can see here, how small Oddish is in comparison. Now, a few interesting facts. Now, Vileplume is Pokemon number 45, and it actually evolves when you use a Leaf Stone on Gloom. One interesting fact. Absolutely love that. It drove me mad back in the day. You meet Oddish so early, and of course, then it drives you mad because you want to evolve it. And, you know, back in the 90s, we didn't have the internet just to search up all the answers. You had to figure it out yourself. Now, that massive flower on its head isn't just for show. It's actually based on a real-life plant called the Rafflesia Arnoldi plant, I believe, the largest flower on Earth, and it's famous for smelling like rotten meat. Talk about deadly beauty. Love that. Its signature move is the petal dance. It could stand up against a Venusaur, absolutely. And it is an absolute classic. In the anime, it spins and rains down petals like a flowery tornado, as you can see here next to Butterfree. If you like the video that I did today, please check out my playlist, guys. I've done Dotrio, Doduo, the whole evolutionary cycle of Butterfree, Caterpie, and Metapod as well. Now, one of the most beautiful attacks from the Pokemon early series, as I mentioned, was the Flowery Tornado Petal Dance. However, there are so many iconic characters and moves, and I want to dig a little bit deeper into all of that in my next section. As you can see as well, beautiful picture here. It's like a school photo of all of the Pokemon I've already featured in this video. Let me know in the comment section below who your favorites are. Now, just to call out the obvious before I get into Oddish and the details about how I made it, I know what you're thinking. What about Blossom? Well, that little sun dancer came along in Generation 2, so I'm staying loyal to the original 151 for now. That's what I grew up on. But never say never for the future projects. It may well be coming soon. As you can see here, Oddish, one of the more simpler and early Pokemon that I ever made, using Super Sculpey clay, drying it in the oven. Now I'd say the air fryer. Put it on about 100 and it will cook perfectly in about 15 to 20 minutes. Leave it to dry. And also Vileplume paints. I used an airbrush to paint the body and I hand painted all the leaves. But when I met my partner, she absolutely loved the Oddish that I'd made, so I decided to make a cute little rainbow one. We couldn't decide on a specific colour, so I wanted to make this. Also put a little bum crack on it and a nice little inscription on the back as well. So not a Pokemon you're going to see everywhere, but definitely would love to make any other crazy Pokemon Oddish variations that anybody could suggest to me. I really like how this one turned out. As you can see, slightly different techniques with the painting from the original and slightly different colour. I used a purple and then went over it with a lovely gunmetal as well to make it really sparkle. These eyes stand out and I really like how they both look compared to each other. I really do believe the one on the left is a better version. It was, of course, the second one that I made. And, it's been many, many years of making Pokemon now. I'm probably about 8 years in. Now, bringing on the star of the show for me, this is my all-time favourite. I was experimenting a lot at this point with Gloom, making sure that I could, make it a little bit more realistic. I tried to make these leaves almost like look smelly and off, and you definitely wouldn't want to be an insect coming in here because you're going to get eaten alive or consumed, a bit like a Venus flytrap. And I think Gloom, there's little imperfections, as you can see, around the chin from where I've moved house in the past. I've moved house about 3 times since making these. So there's little chips and wears and tears. However, the overall character, I believe the execution here, this is when still in early on Pokemon, but I was developing my skills. And pictures like the one I just displayed there, I believe that's from Pinterest, are definitely some of the main reasons why I wanted to put an extra effort into this Pokemon. It's underrated. It's a really great idea and design. And if you have a look at these sort of big pustules on the back, it's some kind of gross fungus, but at the same time, bringing that alive with Vileplume paints, the only paints to make a project like this really jump off the sculpting table. As you can see, my sculpting skills at this time really had progressed, again using Super Sculpey clay. And also, just to give you a technique if you are interested in making a set of these yourself, do multiple bakes. I use armature wire aluminium foil to create a rough skeleton, like the insides of the Pokemon. Then I sculpt on top. So the most important thing is the base. Get the feet so they stand perfectly. Doesn't need to hold all the weight yet, but it needs to stand. Then make sure you're using your armature wire so there's arms. Then sculpt on top. Cook it once you've done the body, and then you can move on to this more complex part, the giant flower fungus on top, at a later date. But yeah, getting this structure and everything else is absolutely one of the most important things. And of course, again, Vileplume paints to bring this set alive. I love this rotating turntable, guys. It really gives you a full size comparison of the 4. I know we did the size comparisons earlier, but looking at this set together, it's so inspirational to me. It makes me just want to work on Blossom straight away and all the other absolutely fantastic sets out there. Now, breaking out the airbrush, the Vileplume game colours and also hand painting. They were perfect to blend the different gradients and colours, making it jump out from the shelf, especially on the petals and leaves. Oddish got a lighter blue base coat with gentle highlights. Gloom's leaves were layered in darker greens and browns to add realism. And for Vileplume, I went full saturation and contrast. Bright reds, subtle pinks, and then airbrushed all the little details in there as well. Essentially bringing my childhood to life in clay sculpture / action figure form. And guys, that's it from me. What are my final reflections? Well, that's my take on Oddish's evolution line. A little mix of cute, creepy and colourful nostalgia straight out of the 1996 cards, comic books and video games. These are some of my favourite Pokemon to encounter in the early games, especially when you accidentally discovered a Gloom using acid or Vileplume spinning with its petal dance. I've always loved turning digital designs into something real that you can actually physically hold. I love drawing and painting and everything else. But man, growing up, if you could have put these in my collection as a 10-year-old, I would have bit your hands off. Now, guys, what's next for this channel? I'm going to be working on many, many more Pokemon. I'm currently working on finishing Weedle, Kakuna, and the mighty Beedrill. So, guys, drop your thoughts below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe as well so you don't miss my next evolutions and reveals. Now, who doesn't love a good montage? I know I do. But before we wrap up, don't forget, I'm over on Facebook and Instagram, and of course here on YouTube, where you've been watching for the last 10, 11 minutes or so. And you'll find lots more pictures, behind the scenes shots and sneak peeks of what's coming next. If you enjoyed this one, please share it with a friend or family member who loves Pokemon too. It really helps the channel grow. And drop a comment below if you've got any questions, tips or feedback, or you want a set of these yourself. I do read and respond to them all, and I love hearing from you guys and what you think. I've already made Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, Charmander, Charmeleon and Charizard, and of course Squirtle, Wartortle and Blastoise. And there's plenty more coming. I'm working on Magikarp and Gyarados, Lugia, Axew, Haxorus, and more Eevee evolutions as well. So please check out my playlists and stay tuned for more video reviews. And remember, every sculpt starts with just a little Oddish idea. Adios!